Welcome to Agenda Edina, a program summarizing the actions taken at City Hall that affect you most. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty. To help ensure the health, safety, and welfare of renters in Edina, the city will begin a residential rental housing licensing and inspection program later this year. The City Council recently approved an ordinance necessary to implement the program. It will allow the city to enact crime-free rental housing provisions and an affordable housing and tenant protection enforcement mechanism. Other cities with similar programs include Bloomington, Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Minneapolis, Richfield, and St. Louis Park.
Extremely common, especially in our area, the Southwest Metro. We are of our surrounding communities, we're the only ones that are not doing this.
The new program will be operated by the Public Health Division of the Police Department. 2 inspectors and an administrative staff person will be hired to carry it out. Annual license fees will be collected from residential rental property owners to cover their salaries and other expenses of the program. Staff anticipates initial annual fees of $180 for a single family unit and $180 plus $17 per unit for apartment buildings. It's estimated that Edina has more than 100 apartment complexes with nearly 6,700 units and more than 1,200 single-family homes that are rented.
We use a code called the International Property Maintenance Code, and we already have that adopted. We just use, it's a complaint-based enforcement system. In this case, we are now doing proactive inspections, but the code is exactly the same. So it's not like there's a new standard or anything like that. It's just the way that we are discovering issues is different.
Single-family homes would be inspected every other year. Common areas and apartment buildings would be inspected annually, with a third of the individual units inspected each year. The program will go into effect in November.
This year is a little unique, as the board elected to honor 2 officers as they both received powerful nominations outlining the criteria for the award.
Edina Detective Joel Moore and Sergeant Kevin Rothedal were recently named the 2018 Mike Satari Officers of the Year by the Edina Crime Prevention Fund. Last year, Moore solved 2 murder cases, a Walgreens robbery and a homicide. Moore began work in January 2018 on a murder case that crossed state lines and received nationwide attention. Edina resident Christina Proden was reported missing early that month by her mother. After spending hundreds of hours on the case, on March 30th, 2018, Moore interviewed Proden's boyfriend, Joseph Porter, in Little Rock, Arkansas, where Porter confessed to killing her. Early this year, Porter was sentenced to more than 21 years in prison. Moore led the investigation and coordinated efforts with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Little Rock and New Orleans police departments.
Joel has always been very dedicated, and that guy, he doesn't stop. He wants to make his case as complete as possible.
Yes, it's the first time it's been duly awarded to more than one person. It's a great honor. We're working in the public sector. We don't get bonuses or extra pay or anything, so to be recognized in this way is it's very humbling.
Rothedal is credited with applying for a grant which allowed the city to purchase a Bearcat in 2003 to use in the West Metro. He worked hard to bring back the K-9 unit that dissolved decades previously. He garnered community support and found other donors who spurred the start of K-9 retirement funds. He is also the department's self-appointed historian.
Kevin's very innovative, and he's always thinking outside the box and things that we could use, maybe not right now, but later.
When I look back in my own personal life, someone who really influenced me a lot was my grandfather. And Louis Rothedal was a police chief in Brainerd. He passed away before I was born, and I think just growing up over the years, just kind of following in his footsteps, I think, and moving forward, and so that's just something that's always kind of inspired me.
The South Metro Public Safety Training Facility is a valuable resource for police, fire, and other public safety and first responders in the metro area. It is managed and operated through a joint powers agreement between the cities of Bloomington, Eden Prairie, and Edina, as well as the Metropolitan Airports Commission. As the board of directors of the facility prepares a state bonding request for upgrades, the facility recently opened its doors and gave several demonstrations to show the important training that takes place there. Edina TV brings you the story.
A daring aerial rescue makes for a dramatic scene, but it's just business as usual at the South Metro Public Safety Training Facility. Tucked away south of Braemar Arena, it's an Edina facility most residents probably aren't familiar with.
Because I think we are one very well-kept secret.
For 15 years, the training facility has been a resource for the training of public safety personnel who come to Edina from across the state.
We provide the facilities for training of police, fire, and EMS. Our owners at the facility here are Bloomington, Edina, Eden Prairie, and the Metropolitan Airports Commission. And then we also contract with a number of other agencies.
But after 15 years of service to agencies near and far, South Metro is beginning to show its age. In preparation for a state bonding request, the facility invited staff, council members, and state representatives on a tour to demonstrate the value of the work taking place there.
I think it was really interesting to see how well it's utilized in the fire safety training and how many people use it and how many different organizations use it. Not just our city owners, but the bringing people in from all around the state.
By sharing a single facility, they are able to create a facility that's a much better quality training experience than any of them would be able to do on their own.
While demonstrating the fire tower's value as a training tool, staff also pointed out to visitors signs of wear and use.
We have 3 systems out there right now, and one of them, right now, we need to do a $56,000 replacement of software.
Wear on equipment is one example of the public safety facility's age, but another is spaces that have been outgrown. One example is the defensive tactics room for police officer training, where trainers and officers practice sparring techniques.
But when you've got 20 people in their training, plus instructors, the room becomes very small very quickly. So we wanted for a long time to be able to expand that space for their trainings of takedowns and defensive tactics.
In addition to expanding the defensive tactics room, the facility is also looking to expand a small firing range from 45 feet to 75 feet in order to be a qualifying range, as well as a modernized HVAC system in order to safely ventilate lead from the facility's smaller and larger firing ranges. In total, the facility is requesting $6 million in bonding funds.
It would give us the opportunity not just to remain as state-of-the-art facilities, but to expand on what we already have that is working successfully.
For the elected visitors, the tour highlighted the value the facility provides to the region's public safety officers.
It's due for an update at its 15th birthday, and I think that the investments we're talking about here would be very worthwhile in terms of both improving the facility and extending its life.
Put down the gun!
I think having a training facility that's right in our backyard that gives our officers, our fire departments, the opportunity to come and train without having to travel is really important, because they do need to be well trained, and for their safety and for the safety of our residents. So I think it is really critical that we have this facility here.
From the South Metro Public Safety Training Facility, for Edina TV, I'm Matt Ekholm.
In addition to offering training to various public safety organizations in the area, the South Metro Public Safety Training Facility allows the general public access to the firing range every Saturday morning and most Wednesday evenings. Thank you for watching this episode of Agenda Edina. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty.